Productivity Arata. When you realize that the world is going through a serious crisis, it is very difficult for you to be productive and follow your long-term planning. See, if you're worried about getting sick or dying or losing a loved one, your head will only be able to focus on the crisis, and then productivity will be lost. During any type of crisis, it is common that you end up putting aside some of your long-term goals. This worsens the situation because now, in addition to the problems of the crisis itself, you also have to deal with the consequences of lack of productivity, lack of focus, lack of energy, and procrastination. There is a practical way to solve all of this. You can use a simple, relatively simple way of dealing with the crisis and take action in the short term, and don't neglect your long-term goals. All you need to do is to have a short-term planning and act one day at a time. When the world is in crisis, it is difficult to stay focused on completing a project or organizing your finances or taking care of your health. But leaving important goals aside will only make the situation worse. If you do this, in addition to dealing with the crisis itself, you also have to deal with professional, financial, personal, and even health problems. And all of this can be avoided if you start looking at each day as a mini project. So your concerns and tasks and even uncertainties are not restricted to one single day. And so one day at a time, you can go through difficult times without completely letting go your whole life planning. In today's conversation, I want to introduce you to how to do this in practice. And for this, we will now understand how to put intention in your day using an ancient practice. In times when it's difficult to do long-term planning, try to perform very short-term planning by defining only 3 priorities per day. One of the problems of going through a crisis is that this crisis seems to be in your mind at all times. The only thing that people talk about on television, on social media, and even among your friends and family, you just can't get away from the problem. It ends up contaminating your productivity and destroying your day. So to solve this, you need to dedicate a few minutes of your morning to make a very short-term planning and put intention to your day. This kind of morning meditation is an ancient practice. It is recommended by philosophers since the time of Aristotle. But don't be alarmed. Putting intention in your day with a morning meditation is a very simple and practical activity. All you have to do is to take pen and paper and list your 3 most important tasks for that day. Define and prioritize a few actions for your day. Focus only on what you can do today. Long-term plans are very useful in giving us a general direction. Good life planning shows where we want to go and what steps we have to take to get there. The problem is that when we're going through an urgent crisis, these long-term plans will lose some strength. Who wants to be thinking about financial independence when they don't even know what tomorrow will gonna be looking like? Who cares about having a few extra pounds when everything in the world seems to be falling apart? So that is why, in times of crisis, many of us end up throwing away the long-term planning that we used to have and that would give us normally so much motivation. As we already said, this is a mistake because if you do this now, you're going to have 2 problems. You're going to have to deal with the crisis itself and also with the frustration of not moving forward in your big plans. For example, in a situation where the world is going through a serious crisis involving a serious health problem, there is a chance of a lockdown. And now you're forced to stay at home, and now you're concerned about a possible loss of a job, of income, even the possibility that you or a relative might get the disease. You become unmotivated. You might abandon your long-term plans, including the healthy eating and the exercise routine that you had before. So if you do that, you have now to deal with the world's health crisis and still be frustrated to see your body losing shape, to lose your energy, lose your willingness to do things. Even worse, now you're going to end up being less healthy and having more difficulties dealing with the disease in case you happen to become infected. Your lack of focus and action could have actually make the problem even worse, you see. We understand that rationally, but so we lack motivation to act, thinking in the long term because all of our attention is now turned to the crisis that is out there. So what is the solution? The solution to acting in times of crisis is to focus exclusively on what you can do today. Right. So every morning, as soon as you wake up, even before you pick up your phone, to turn on the television, grab a pen and paper and write down the 3 most important tasks for that day. In this case, pen and paper works better than any electronic task management app because now you're going to have to pick up your phone, computer to list your tasks, and you end up seeing a lot of news and notifications about crises that will hurt your productivity. So simply grab pen and paper and write down what can you do today to have a minimally productive day. That list should not include your routine tasks. We're not here about, making lunch, doing the dishes, making the bed. No, we're really looking to find 3 important tasks, really important ones, to have a productive day. You can even consult your life planning and see among your long-term goals which ones that you have some tasks that you can do today. Even if it is a very small task, the very important thing here to do is to take 1 step per day. The rule here is that you're going to choose fewer tasks, 3 at most. But they're really important tasks that, when they're done, they make your life easier, more productive, or even happier. If the tasks here that you have are very large, you can break these tasks into smaller pieces that can be done in 1 single day. For example, if you have to write a graduation paper for college and you can't move forward because you're thinking about the crisis out there, you can make a task of just writing 2 paragraphs. And then after choosing your tasks, you can place them in order of priority, 1, 2, and 3. Ideally, you should do the most important things first, because at the beginning of the day, you generally are more willing to handle more complex tasks. And then the last step in your morning planning is to anticipate problems. Predicting obstacles. It helps to overcome the difficulties of the day. After you have sorted what you're going to be doing that day, you can finish your planning by anticipating problems. And to do this, just ask yourself what could go wrong in doing the tasks you have chosen. Write next to each task what can get in your way, and if possible, write a solution for each of these problems. Now, it doesn't have to be very complex and time-consuming. You should not be wasting your time experiencing problems that have not happened yet. However, you must anticipate the problems that may arise, and you do that ahead. So when these problems arise, you will be able to get through each one of them without great difficulty. Now, these obstacles can be external, such as difficulties brought by other people, lack of resources, or even lack of tools to do the task that you have chosen. But let's be honest, the biggest obstacles that we face usually are the internal ones. We're talking here about procrastination, lack of focus, the stories that we tell ourselves. You know yourself better than anyone, so you should already know what are these inner obstacles that will probably hinder your productivity. List these behaviors and write down a solution for each one of these problems that you may face in your day. Now, here's a warning. Don't try to solve complex psychological issues in this morning planning. Focus exclusively on your day-to-day. What can you do today to reduce the damage caused by the exterior and also interior obstacles that you have managed to anticipate? You can set a block of time to forget about the crisis and focus exclusively on your 3 most important tasks of your day. Now that you have listed your 3 most important tasks for the day, you need to perform these tasks. And for this, the best technique is to isolate your productivity to prevent the crisis from contaminating your focus. When the crisis is really serious, it seems to be everywhere. Mostly, it looks like it is in our head all the time. And it is natural that, it is like that because we want to protect ourselves from what lies ahead. But we also want to protect our productivity. And you can do that by using the time block technique. We already saw that in the episode number 5 of the Study Arata series. You can take a look at the link here. For example, let's say that the task number 1 in your list is daily planning, which takes about 2 minutes to complete. Then you can define 2 blocks of 60 minutes to focus exclusively on that task. You can prepare even a stopwatch with an alarm. And when that block of time begins, you must completely disconnect from the outside world. You can put your phone in airplane mode, you can disable notifications on your computer, your phone as well, you can block social networks and news sites, you can turn off the television. Keep away from you everything that can be distracting and focus exclusively on the task as long as you set it. When the alarm goes off, then you can take a break. Then you can do whatever you want during this rest period. And then you do another block of time with total focus until you complete that task. After a break, you can do the same, task number 2 and task number 3. If you cannot focus for 60 minutes, you can set smaller blocks of time, for example 25 minutes. And if you are unable to complete the tasks that you listed for that particular day, in the next morning you will be breaking down smaller pieces of tasks that actually can be done in that day. Living one day at a time brings presence and increases productivity and decreases anxiety. Try putting morning planning into your morning routine starting tomorrow. Every great journey begins with a small step. And if you're going through a major economic crisis or whatever type of crisis, or even if you're having a personal problem that is taking you out of focus, try taking the first step to get out of that crisis by doing your morning planning starting tomorrow. Then you can try, as soon as you wake up, before even getting your phone, take a few minutes of silence and put intention, clarity in your day. Take a pen and paper and remember the steps that we talked about here. List 1 to 3 important tasks that you can do and accomplish in that particular day. Then you list the external and mainly the internal obstacles that may appear ahead, already thinking how you're going to be solving those problems. And then during the day, you can separate blocks of time to do the tasks that were listed. And when you're doing this experiment, avoid thinking too much about tomorrow. It doesn't matter much what will happen in a few days, in the next few days, or in the next few months. Focus only on what you can do today. And then you do it day by day until you get out of the crisis and see that even with all the problems that you were able to stand firm in your pursuit of your big goals. The strategy of living one day at a time works much better if you already have a life plan in place. This way you can take your plan and extract from it the 2 or 3 most important tasks to do in that particular day. If you want to know how to put together a life plan, I invite you to attend a special class in our Planning Your Life course. And in this class, you're going to be discovering how to start putting together your life plan on what you value most in your life. And to see this special class on personal values, you can visit arata.se/planning your life.